The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Nyer, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC. I will be your facilitator for today's webinar. For those of you who are not familiar, the Virginia SBDC is the largest and most effective provider of customized counseling and education for small businesses in Virginia. Most of our services are offered locally in 28 locations throughout the Commonwealth. Today's webinar is one of our educational offerings and is part of our ongoing webinar series, Google and Beyond, Marketing and Managing on the Web. Today's topic is a 2017 year in review and 2018 year in preview. All of our Google and Beyond webinars are presented by Ray Sidney Smith, a web and mobile strategist, author of Solo Mo Success, Social Media, Local and Web Small Business Marketing Strategy Explained, and president of W3 Consulting. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type those questions into the question window and Ray will do his best to answer them. Without further ado, here's Ray Sidney Smith.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you to the Virginia Small Business Development Center Network for having me here on the Google and Beyond Marketing and Managing on the Web series. As Tracy said, today we're going to be doing a year in review, year in preview, and I just want to do a couple housekeeping items. As Tracy said, make sure that if you have a question now is the time to ask it. If you have questions afterward, I'll have my email address on the final slide, so you'll be happy to email me if you have a question. But you can always tweet at me at W3 Consulting, hashtag that beyond Google, and I'll know the context so I can answer you faster and better. And of course, follow at Virginia SBDC to learn about upcoming programs like these educational offerings and other programs that they provide throughout the state. So today's agenda is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be in 3 parts. I'm going to talk about some of the major events that that did happen in 2017. We'll then go into a year in review of the things that we made as predictions in and for 2017. And I think that's really helpful just to sort of get an idea about which predictions came to pass, what's the status of those things, and how the strategies that small business owners are affecting and implementing are working for you. And then we'll do some predictions for 2018, sort of looking through the crystal ball to see what's going to happen in terms of web, mobile, and social media marketing trends and so forth. We'll leave a little bit of time at the end for question and answer, but I would suggest that if you have a question, put that in the question panel, and Tracy will, put the question in real time if necessary, or wait till the end to ask me so that I can answer it and so forth. All right, so let's get started. I wanted to start off with one particular thing, which is that the CoSchedule, which is a social media marketing calendar, editorial calendar tool, they put out this report called the State of Marketing Strategy Report 2018. They put this out presumably every year, and this takes a survey of 1,600 marketers throughout 85 countries, and they ask them what is working and what isn't working in modern marketing. And this is kind of a little bit off topic, but really perennial advice, because I think it's really interesting. So the report did ask a wide variety of questions of these marketers, but they came away with 4 key insights, and I wanted to share them with you because I think they're really important. Number 1, top marketers document their marketing strategy. I'm quoting here from the report. So number 1, top marketers document their marketing strategy. Marketers who document strategy are 538% more likely to report success than those who don't. Number 2, top marketers document their marketing processes. Marketers who document process are 466% more likely to report success than those who don't. Number 3, top marketers set goals. Marketers who set goals are 429% more likely to report success than those who don't, and 81% of those successful goal-setting marketers achieve them, right? So if you set a goal, you're 81% of those marketers then achieve them. 4, top marketers conduct audience research. Successful marketers are 242% more likely to report conducting audience research at least once per quarter, and 56% of our study's most elite marketers conduct research once or more per month. Okay, so I just think that's really, really interesting information that marketers are setting goals, and they are documenting their goals and their strategy and their processes, and that makes them more successful. And I think that that's just perennial. Every marketer, every small business owner who is interested in marketing their business should really pay attention to that. So with that in mind, let's talk about some of the major things that happened in 2017 that I think are really important for small business owners to take note of. First and foremost, Google has pushed out a plethora of new features within Google My Business and within the Google Maps ecosystem. The first of which I think will fundamentally change how many businesses really work on search engine optimization is this concept of the Reserve with Google feature. And so Reserve with Google allows you to be able to book services, whether that be a yoga class tonight or a massage or going to your hair salon, directly from a Google Maps search. Basically from whether it's the web desktop or on a mobile app like Google or Google Maps, you are now able to engage with the local service businesses in your area directly and book directly into their calendars without ever going to their website. Okay, this is fundamentally changing the way in which we think about search engine optimization. This is fundamentally changing the way in which we think about ranking our local websites. So this has some really big, philosophical, theoretical meat to it that we haven't yet figured out because it's such a new feature. But because Google commands 80% of traffic globally, we really do need to pay attention to what is happening with this Reserve with Google feature. I have now seen it implemented across quite a number of clients, and it is driving traffic. It's not driving as much traffic yet because it's still in sort of a beta testing phase, and they're rolling it out to new service areas as they're able to, primarily within the health and wellness service-based business space. So you'll see a lot of yoga studios, fitness, and gym space, and then as well as hair, salon, and spa. So if you're in one of those industries, definitely an area to look at the Reserve with Google functionality. Also, Google has added posts, basically small blog posts, almost like tweets, if you want to think about it, but with an image. So if you think Instagram, a little bit of Twitter, all mixed into your Google My Business listing on Google Maps. So now you can push ephemeral, time-based messages onto Google Maps so that people who are doing searches are now seeing them. And we've tested this across the board with several clients and have seen really great success in terms of time-based ads being placed in the posts. This is free, and you control it from your Google My Business dashboard by going to google.com/business and then logging into your particular location. Google has also launched websites. So they've launched a feature within Google My Business so that if you do not have a website, you can basically just build a website directly within Google My Business. Now, we do not know very much about this feature. It just rolled out, so we're seeing businesses now have access to it and to be determined. But this is really quite phenomenal that Google is giving you the ability to build a website directly within Google itself, right within the Google My Business dashboard. So certainly something to take note of in 2017 and into 2018. Next up is that live and social video are now everywhere. If you haven't experienced, YouTube Live or Facebook Live in some way, shape, or form, or if you haven't seen social video on one of the social media platforms that are out there, maybe you've been living under a rock. But it seems to just be everywhere, and now it's making its way into mainstream media with news agencies and other studios reporting on things that are happening on social media. And that really tells us something about the nature and state of live and social video into 2018, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Also of note is that Black Friday sales, that is the sales holiday that follows Thanksgiving Day in the US, increased online sales, explicitly increased 18% over last year. So nearly 1/5 of all sales on Black Friday moved to the web on Black Friday. So remarkable change that we're seeing in terms of, once Cyber Monday dominated all of the sales in this sort of holiday season online, and now we're seeing, in terms of sales holidays, now we're seeing Black Friday creeping up on the heels of that, and people sort of dispersing the amount of purchase that they're doing across online across these sales holidays. So we're seeing more and more people not go to the physical stores. This is obviously sending a message to small business owners that there needs to be an online presence. 40% of all those sales were on a mobile device. Somebody was on their mobile phone or on a mobile tablet making that purchase. And that also is huge. That means that even if we took the increase of 18% alone and looked at that, 40% of just the increase was on mobile, that would be a huge part of online holiday sales. And so we need to really, really take heart to the fact that people are buying on mobile now. If you are not and do not have a mobile, sales strategy, this is really something that you should start thinking about if that is appropriate to your business. Next up is this concept of conversational search has started to creep into the market, and we don't know where this is going, but this is very interesting. So Google, through the Google My Business platform, again, which is sort of the business end of Google Maps, you are now able to enable these sort of question and answer messaging platform, so that when potential customers have questions about your business, they're able to send those messages to you through either text message or the Google My Business application on your Android or iOS devices. So you're able to have this conversational kind of search that wasn't possible before. So when someone does a search, now Google is going to prompt you and say, oh, this person has this question, can you answer it in real time? And we'll see what happens there. Bing has gone a step further by implementing in beta, so not everybody will see this, but implementing a chatbot, a sort of a chat window, that when you're doing searches, you'll actually be able to use the chatbot in order to do those searches and get responses back. And sort of a very interesting space that you're now going to be able to have conversational search. Of course, Google has the Google Assistant, which is all based on search and machine learning. So Google's testing this out with facilitating that with business owners directly. Bing is doing this in a generalized sense with machine learning only, and it's only a matter of time before those are merged together, and you'll be able to ask Siri, you'll be able to ask your desktop computer through its microphone, and do these kinds of searches, and then they become a conversation, that is much less type in a search and then scroll through answers on the search engine results page, but more here goes a question, you're going to speak back to me or give me the answer I'm looking for, and then facilitating forward a deeper dive into the content or the information or the entertainment that I'm looking for. So really, really powerful stuff there. Next up is Mozilla, which produces one of the major web browsers, Firefox, switched to Google Search. Now, some of you might not think that's huge, but they've been a Yahoo-based search as their default search engine for many, many years, and this is a big deal. So, Mozilla commands a very good chunk of web browsing, and they are now using Google as their default search engine, which means that Google will, have another little tick up in terms of the amount of Google search traffic that people generate from mostly desktop web, but also from the mobile web search they do on the Firefox mobile applications on Android and iOS. And what I call the delivery wars, they've begun in this year. And so if you don't know what the delivery wars are, is that many of the companies, this counts Amazon, Walmart, Target, Google, Uber, Lyft, and many other companies that are trying to command the market of getting goods food and other services delivered to your home or office in near real time, as fast as possible, right? So if I order food for takeout from a mobile application, I want it delivered to my front door of my office or my home as quickly as possible. And if I order something on Amazon, I want it delivered in today or as close to today as possible, right? The sooner the better for many people. They are in the wars, and that's really something that's quite fascinating to watch. For example, Walmart partnered with Google this year to compete against Amazon in using voice-based tools like Google Home and the Amazon Alexa apps, those kinds of things. In this case, Walmart partnered with Google to use Google Express, which is Google's delivery service, to be able to use the Google Home platforms to order things and have them delivered. So, you know, delivery wars are really going to be waging over the next several years, if not the next decade, to see who commands most of this, marketing opportunity. So just pay attention to that, because obviously if you have product-based businesses and you want to get them to your customers as soon as possible, one of these major companies are the ones who are going to be delivering it. And you're going to need to figure out who to partner with, if not all of them, some of them, and how they're going to charge you. You know, how much money are they going to take out of it in order to be able to get that product or that product from the, your store or manufacturing location to your end consumer. All right, ads, video ads, product placement, sponsorship, and all of the various ways in which you can, advertise and spend money on getting the word out are pretty much on every social media platform now. It is remarkable how much in 2017 it has just exploded. And so you're going to see that concept of pay to play become a huge part of social media going forward. So organic content is at a pretty much all-time low, and much of this is because of Facebook. But the reality is that all of these social media platforms have had to fight to figure out what their value is in the business marketing space, and they've decided that the best way for them to do that is to pay to play, is to force businesses to pay in order to advertise. And that has put consumers at odds with the number of ads they have to see, but it also has hurt small businesses who may not have the ad spend, that is the advertising budget, to pay for all of this sponsorship and advertising and so forth. So pay attention to this as we go into 2018, because this is going to become a real difficulty for a lot of small business owners, and you're going to have to choose platforms based on where you can get organic content reach that is time and energy, as opposed to actual dollars for getting the word out about your business. So a couple of graphs that I just thought were really interesting to show how things are sort of making their way in the world. If you look at this set of charts, what it shows are the top 8 applications on mobile devices, globally. And as you can see here, from the 18 to 24 to age 55, they're pretty much all the same apps, okay? And if you know a thing or two about these apps, you start to notice 2 companies pretty much dominating, less Snapchat, and we'll talk about Snapchat later. But if you look at just 18 to 24, right? YouTube, owned by Google. Facebook, Snapchat, Facebook Messenger, owned by Facebook. Instagram, owned by Facebook. Google Search and Google Maps, owned by Google, and then Pandora. So if people are spending, as we know, in the top 5 apps, people are spending 90% of their time on mobile within those 5 apps. If you look across all of these all these age ranges, Google and Facebook pretty much dominate most of the time people are experiencing digital media. So more than 50% of their time is now spent experiencing digital media within their mobile usage within basically two companies. Okay, so be very, very cautious of the fact that as you move forward, you can see here YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook Messenger are the 4 platforms where the most of your content could be seen by the people who are experiencing it on mobile. Okay, so just really, really powerful numbers here when you think about it. Next up is notifications. So a lot of people talk about notification fatigue. That is, people turning off notifications from mobile applications when they push too many notifications, or even when they just install it. Well, here we're seeing from 2015 to 2017, the number of people who are wanting more push notifications has actually increased. So from 2015 to 2016, there was a decrease, and then there was a market increase, 10-point increase over those 2 years of people saying, yes, they do want to receive push notifications. So that means that businesses who are producing mobile applications have gotten smart about what notifications they present to users. And that means that we can take some of this information and extrapolate that to whether you're going to produce a small business mobile application or do push notifications within your website. If you push the right notifications, if you present the right pop-ups, however you present that pop-up, whether that's a hello bar or whether that's an exit intent pop-up or otherwise, you can do it well and get customers to want those pop-ups if you provide the right value. Okay, so that's the way I interpret this. I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but I really do see this as a positive trend that when you put out push notifications that are not useful to people, they're going to reject them, and they're going to very, very quickly fatigue. But when you push out high value notifications, people will want them and will seek them out. All right. So that's 2017 kind of in a nutshell in terms of the really major things that happened in marketing and otherwise. I want to talk about the things that we previewed, what we predicted for 2017, and which ones came to pass and which ones did not. So let's get into this. Number one, at the end of 2016, I talked about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and what we call NLP, natural language processing, growing into more products. And this certainly is something that has made its way into many, many products. The reality, though, is that you don't actually see it in a lot of ways. But I think most people wouldn't really say that machine learning has affected their world very much, except that it really has. Machine learning is behind almost every web platform, everything from email to every social media site to every website, major news outlet, and so forth are using machine learning. You know, Amazon and FedEx and UPS and all these others are using machine learning to be able to create better distribution of content as well as distribution of product and service. So really, I'm certain that this is going to be an area of greater growth, and I'm going to consider this one one that I got right. And since I'm the one who gets to grade myself, I'm giving myself a check mark for that one. But the tip here is that there are a lot more tools coming along the way that are allowing small businesses to engage in machine learning. One tool is called MonkeyLearn, and so I would definitely check it out in terms of being able to take your data and ask it questions to be able to do that. You might also look at Google Sheets. So Google Sheets has implemented some machine learning, and you can actually ask questions if you are in the Google Sheets environment and you have a spreadsheet full of customer data. And again, you have to archetype the data properly, but if you have, you know, structured columns with the appropriate data that you've exported from, say, your accounting software or from your e-commerce inventory or from Google Analytics or another web analytics tool, and you put that into the Google Sheets workbook, you can now on that spreadsheet click on the Explore button in the bottom right-hand corner of the window, and then ask Google a question about that data. And remarkably, through machine learning, Google is able to answer those questions for you. So no longer is data this, you know, sort of abstract that you can't extract information from. Now you can get real live business decision making data points presented to you by asking it natural language questions. And I even recommended a tool called Brainify for retail stores last year. And Brainify goes ahead and does this kind of machine learning in the background of your website, and then is able to prompt users for basically event-based marketing pushes for purposes of either subscribing or registering for an event or RSVPing for an event, as well as presenting them with products and services for those events. So for example, you're going to a birthday party in 3 weeks, Brainify knows that you have that in your calendar as a consumer, and therefore is able to get the product shown to the consumer in enough time with recommendations, like this is what you might want to buy for this particular event, so that they're able to make a better, smarter choice. But that, of course, facilitates a choice with your business versus someone else. So machine learning is really here to stay. It's going to really grow. I think that the discussion about artificial intelligence specifically, I think, has been overhyped. So we're not talking artificial intelligence, but certainly machine learning and natural language processing will become even more powerful over the next several years. Next up, prediction number 2 of 2016 into 2017 was that ephemeral media, specifically video marketing, would grow to new heights as SMB embraced the webcam. And I think that is absolutely true. I think that we saw a wide variety of people hopping onto Facebook and YouTube and all of these other platforms to really put more video out there into the world. We had live streaming of major events, including in Virginia, the unfortunate situations in Charlottesville. That a lot of that ephemeral media was in the major, mainstream media because this technology was now out in the world. If small business owners can really take advantage of this, this can be a huge and positive marketing opportunity for them. So I highly recommend that you embrace the webcam, embrace the mobile cameras on your phones and your mobile tablets, and get out there and have a good strategy for how to convert people from live, real-time watchers to becoming audience members. And ephemeral media, of course, being media that comes and goes, like Instagram stories and otherwise. We'll talk a little bit about that in a short while. All right. Prediction number 3 was that SMB will start to hire more and more independent contractors or freelancers from online platforms. And I believe I got that one right as well. So the Freelancers Union, which is a union for freelancers, they are based in Brooklyn, New York, actually, where I'm from. And they partner with Upwork every year to put out a study of that they report that they do, and they predicted this year that that within the next decade there will be more freelancers than full-time employees in I don't know if they said the world or the United States. So, but I'm gonna limit it to the United States, and so we're gonna have more freelancers than full-time employees within the decade. Okay, so they're saying by the end of this decade we're going to have that. So that's a remarkable shift in how the workforce will be working. And so with platforms like Upwork and others, you really need to start thinking about how this all works. So ProFinder, which is the LinkedIn-based platform, and Amazon, and so forth. This is a really major opportunity for small business owners to find and hire the appropriate people they need, the professionals they need, in order to make their business run effectively, and especially when it comes to having marketing help. So really think about how you can hire some of these people, whether that's on the Fiverr platform, Fiverr has 2 R's, or Upwork or otherwise. Think about how you're hiring the appropriate people for the appropriate jobs. Next up is, and this was part of the Amazon Home Services thing, and I'll just pass along that. Okay, number 4, I talked about that there would be more social network consolidation. And while there actually was a huge amount of consolidation across many markets, I'm going to consider that I got that one wrong. There was not as much social network consolidation as I would have thought. I really would have thought that Twitter would have been purchased by now, and that we would have seen either the end of Snapchat and the beginning of Snapchat being purchased out by another major corporation and or a media company, and Snapchat was a real breakout social network. They grew in strength and stayed independent, and while they still may, whatever their future is dicey, it's always risky in the social media world, they broke out and they did not get gobbled up like many of the others like Instagram and so forth. So I'm going to say I got that one wrong. All right, number 5, the prediction for 2017 was that EMV chip card payment would become the standard. And I'm going to say again, I got that one wrong. I still see so many stores reporting in and with the Retail Marketing Foundation and others saying that they are still using the barcode stripe as much as they are EMV chip. So while EMV by 2020 will become the standard, it will be forced to become the standard by EMV, which is Europay, MasterCard, Visa. They are not yet there. So we are seeing a sort of a distribution of usage, right? Because we have people who are still using the magnetic card striping, where they're swiping cards, and for the businesses that are using it, they're taking the risk, the fraud risk, that if a transaction is fraudulent, they're now assuming that risk. Notwithstanding, there's many of the card holders, the card issuers are pushing out the chip cards. Most of you probably have now a chip card available to you, but not all the businesses that you go to have the ability to put it in. And this includes major retailers. I've seen major retailers with the part of their readers that allow the chip to go in still covered, or they have one of those little cards stuck into the chip reader so that it says, please swipe your credit card. And they've just decided to take the risk until they get to the point of being ready to roll it out across all of their stores. So EMV chip is still something that people need to pay attention to. If you do not have an EMV chip compliant reader, you've got 2 years, and you're best to implement that. The other distributed piece of this is that people are now using wireless payment tools like Android Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, and others. Other companies now, like Walmart and Target, have created their own using QR code technology for you to be able to pay with, say, a Target Red card directly from the Target app. Okay, so we've seen consolidation even with Target. Target had the Target Cartwheel app, then they bundled Cartwheel now inside of the Target app completely, and now you have this ability to pay with a credit card, debit card, or your Red card directly within the Target app as well. So now we have mobile payment with a major retailer all bundled inside their own mobile application. Hint, hint, if you do something similar to that, which is bundling all of your pieces into a mobile application, if you're a small business with a lot of retail traffic, this can be a major tool for you to be able to push valuable notifications to your audience strategically so that you are engaging with them more, and you have a piece of real estate directly on their smartphone, which they carry with them everywhere. Okay, so while EMV chip payment has not yet become the standard, it will. And the other side to this is that mobile payment is really on the precipice of a major tideswell change of how small business owners can really engage and take over some of the market with that. Okay, number 6, I talked about more movement to the cloud, more data management for everyone. Of course, it's a big headache, but it's really important for you to get your data digitized. And I would say, yes, I was right on that. I think that we have seen a huge shift in people who have invested in the G Suite platform, in more Microsoft 365, Office 365 platform subscriptions. Both have really, they've ticked up. Microsoft is doing very well all of a sudden. So CEO, the CEO of Microsoft is, he's come into play, and they've seen 4, quarters of profit, which is big for a company making a big turnaround, and G Suite has grown exponentially since its launch. So we're seeing a lot more people go to the cloud, and that of course means that there's more data in the cloud, which means you need to think about cybersecurity and think about how you're managing it for overall productivity. Okay, next one, number 7, more small businesses are launching e-commerce and mCommerce from the get-go, and we're going to see more mobile apps for small business. This is absolutely true. There's actually been a whole platform of mobile app development platforms. So there are more mobile application development platforms that are out there that help small businesses develop apps without knowing any code. So there's AppyPie and Como and Business and AppMaker, and these allow you to pay a monthly fee and launch applications using things as simple as just your website, and you plug in some information and you enable the functionality so that you're able to launch applications into the Android, iOS, Amazon app stores, so that you now have apps in all of these stores and you're able to sell directly using mCommerce, or at least providing valuable functionality, valuable information through the mobile applications, which again gives you license to then push notifications to them of a sales-oriented nature if that's appropriate for your business. So that was definitely very interesting. So 7 predictions for 2017 in review, and so I think I did pretty well in terms of the predictions we made. So now I want to shift gears and talk about some of the things that are going to be happening in 2018. Now, some of these are tough to think about, but bear with me while we go through them. There are 8 for 2018, and I wanted to talk about these 8. So number 1, social media influencers, especially Instagram and YouTube stars, are going to start popping up everywhere. If you haven't already seen them popping up everywhere, we've had at least a dozen YouTubers who have become movie stars, right? So it's really remarkable how many of these YouTubers really starting to pop up and become major movie stars. If you think about the audiences and the people who are out there, doing this on these social networking platforms, they're really, a lot of them are capable of breaking out, and maybe they're not becoming major movie stars, but they're definitely becoming major influencers, and major dollars are being spent on them. So I read something the other day that some of these YouTube stars are commanding $100,000 for promoting products or services within a video, for them to produce a video for, say, reviewing a particular product, and so on and so forth. And you can see that if you watch YouTube or any of these other video platforms, you can start to see how there are a lot of reviews. The companies are sending them free products for them to review, and it's really becoming mainstream how much they are paying attention to the power of the influencers. So the main thing that I want to present here is that when it comes to the future in 2018, you're going to have to start looking at local influencers for how their Instagram presence, their YouTube presence, their Facebook presence, their Twitter presence, and otherwise, Pinterest, LinkedIn, how is their presence possibly be beneficial to your business, and what's the remuneration that is involved in getting them to talk about your business. Now, that may not mean actual hand to hand of dollars, of currency, but it could be. And what we've learned from the data, ComScore has done quite a bit of research on this to show that it's actually more effective for local influencers when they talk about your product or service on their social media than major brands with major influencers. So we know that local influencing is powerful in marketing, so make sure that you're reaching out there. If you have someone who is, an Instagrammer who's really health and wellness focused, and you have a health and wellness business, it behooves you to make that relationship and figure out ways in which you can either provide content, provide product or service, or provide dollars so that they can let their audience know, especially their local audience, know that your business exists. And then, of course, the most important part is to track it. See how much that particular local influencer's influence worked. If it worked and it's making you more money than you're spending on the influencer, then I would say that's a good thing, right? So local influence is going to be, I think, really coming into its own in 2018. Number 2, Generation Z, which is actually this is basically post-millennial for some people. There is a lot of discussion about whether there is a Generation Z or what Generation Z is called, but in essence, they are the generation subsequent to the millennial generation, and so that could be as early as maybe 1993 to 2005, sort of that generation. And the reality, though, is that the first set of those Gen Zers are graduating from college. So they are coming into the workforce right into 2018. So what I see in 2018 is that there's going to be a shift from them using the current social media platform of choice for many of these younger people, which is Snapchat and otherwise, to using more of the mainstream ones, or vice versa. Businesses are now getting clued into the fact that Snapchat is so powerful, and you're going to see the age of the Snapchat user increase. Get a little bit older, because more and more adults are going to be joining Snapchat as a mechanism for being able to market to this younger audience that is coming into the workforce. So we're going to see a huge sort of rippling effect of this throughout all of the web, all of mobile, and all of social media. And this is really founded on 4 different applications. Snapchat, of course, Instagram. Both of those provide what are called stories. And they're both flavored differently, but the idea here is that those will drive the dominant amount of social media traffic for those who are willing to put in the effort. So the stories are, of course, contributing content on a daily basis, and multiple pieces of content in a day then becomes a quote-unquote story. So you can tell a brand story, whether that's a short-term brand story or long-term brand story, directly within Snapchat and Instagram stories. And if you see how stories work, you can direct people to places. Like in Instagram, you can have people swipe up and it will actually direct them to a website, presumably a website that you own and operate, and therefore have an opportunity to market and sell to those people by effectively engaging them with value through the Snapchat and Instagram stories. So I think that that's going to be the dominant driver of social media traffic in 2018, just by virtue of the fact that a lot of these younger folks are using the platform, and they are coming into their own of getting their first credit cards, moving out, getting jobs, and so on and so forth. So I really think that's a dominant force coming to pass. The other is the message app, the messaging apps platforms like WhatsApp and Messenger, which is to the right. Notice that 3 of these companies, again, 3 of these icons on your screen, are owned by Facebook. Okay, so don't get misguided by the fact that you're somehow seeing Facebook. Facebook basically, would have declined had it not been for the fact that they purchased all of the things they knew were major competition, right? So they launched Messenger. Messenger became huge, but Messenger, of course, competes with its own other product, which is WhatsApp. But WhatsApp is dominant in many major countries outside of the US, and I think its only other major competing app is WeChat, and which is really dominant in Asia. So you have one-to-one communication applications, and we'll talk about how that works on the Messenger platform very shortly. But these are the apps that Gen Z is using, and you need to really pay attention to how you're engaging with them in that way, for both one-to-one dialogue, whether that be Messenger and WhatsApp, but as well with content that you're pushing through Snapchat and Instagram stories. Okay, next up is chatbots. If you don't know what a chatbot is going back to machine learning from my year in review 2017. A chatbot uses machine learning to, again, this is a software algorithm that is learning what is happening from the data that it's being given and making the best guesses on that, and then providing back an output. So in this particular case, for small businesses, you're really thinking about using chatbots primarily for, say, customer service, where if a potential customer comes to your website, they'll get a little chatbot that presents on the screen and can answer things that come from a frequently asked questions perspective, or if they need information like your current hours of operation, they need your address, they need to know whether you're open or not currently, and just basic things like that. And if that can't be answered, then they will provide some other alternative, which would be a phone number to call you or a contact page in order to send them to your business in some way, shape, or form. So chatbots are very, very powerful tools. I think we will see them become a huge part of 2018, especially since they're getting a lot of notoriety in the mainstream media. And I think that will make for them becoming more useful to small businesses. And the really cool part is that Facebook, which I showed you the Messenger app in the prior slide, in number 2, the Messenger app allows you to create a machine learning chatbot as a small business without knowing any code. So if you go to messenger.fb.com, it will take you to the developer site for Facebook, and you're gonna have to read, learn about how it works and what is done and all that other fun stuff. But you can basically connect your Facebook page to the Messenger app, and now people who come to your website, you can present them with a little, hey, come, connect with our Messenger bot, and it will help facilitate them becoming closer to your brand through Messenger and through the chatbot that you've created. Now, there's a lot more technology out there available, but I think that 2018 is going to see some really interesting chatbot stuff coming along. Number 4, we've already talked about this before, but live streaming is going to become even more popular and ubiquitous than in years prior. So I would just say start planning out your live stream marketing strategy for events and more. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this doesn't demote its importance in your marketing strategy. In 2018, if you're not doing at least one live stream or some kind of live streaming on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or Periscope, which is owned by Twitter, you're going to be missing out on a great opportunity to create either ephemeral video or video that can be used in future marketing from live events or even real-time events that are happening in your office or your retail location otherwise. Okay, so really pay attention, use live streaming. Number 5, the Internet of Things is this very large, powerful, distributed network of technology that is connected to the internet. And so these are usually devices that have some kind of web connection. So if you think about a smartwatch or the Fitbit trackers and so on and so forth, these are all part of what are called the Internet of Things. The most prevalent one in small business today is actually the Square mobile card readers. They read your credit card, you put your chip in or you swipe your card, and that's been pretty much the thing that most business owners have taken heart to. There's a lot of other opportunity in terms of being able to automate through having, say, a Nest Protect camera at your business, so that if there's a security event, you can have that recorded and streamed to you into a mobile application, so that you're capable of keeping your store secure to sensor related data, so that if a piece of product in your store moves from one place to another, you can keep track of that. All of those things are going to be really cool, but more powerful than that is that the Internet of Things has a creative potential for marketing in a way that we've never thought of before, and I am challenging you to think about them. Think creatively about ways in which the Internet of Things can go out there. So if you go to a website called IFTT, IFTTT.com, it stands for If This Then That. IFT is a platform that connects the Internet of Things devices. So you can connect your smart thermostat to in your office to your phone and make it do things and automate things and send you notifications, all kinds of other fun things, right? But more importantly is that you can automate your social media. So you can do certain things so that it prompts you to post on Instagram every day, so it sends a message to your phone and lets you know these things. There's just a lot of opportunity here that can be mined from the Internet of Things. And so this is not so much a call to action to do a specific thing, but more to just start to ideate. Think about ways in which you can use this, and I think it'll be really powerful. So tell me in 2018 what ideas you've come up with. Okay, I think this was meant to be number 6, but I've numbered them wrong. So we've got number 5 again. So very briefly, Twitter is going to be making some major changes, and this is not because of anything they've said. It's just because the market has has basically determined that for them. Twitter has had slow growth, and so what I'm offering to you is to have 2 plans. One, if Twitter is purchased by someone or for some reason makes some huge change and they go big in 2018, then have a plan to take advantage of that. If that's your main, social media network of choice. If they are going to, be purchased and then sent to pasture, then you need to prepare for that and have a plan B in case you need to go to another platform where there is this flat communicate with anyone structure. And I would say that Instagram is probably the closest place for that. So if you're not going to be on Twitter as your primary social network, again, that makes me very, very sad, since Twitter is my favorite social platform, a major platform of the day. If it does go away, you need to have a plan for where you're going to go after that. Okay, so number 6, LinkedIn was purchased by Microsoft, at the end of 2016, and they've been going through a number of different changes. They've put up a new front-end design, so the new user experience is very, very different than it used to be. And what we're going to see is that as it becomes more streamlined and integrated into the Microsoft Office 365 platform, the ecosystem, we're going to start to see LinkedIn's user base and the way in which people interact and engage on LinkedIn for B2B purposes very, very differently. So if you're in the B2B space, pay very close attention to sometimes even the most minute things that LinkedIn are doing. LinkedIn groups had a huge overhaul, and there was a lot of backlash in the community, and so LinkedIn groups are still around, but we don't know what the fate of LinkedIn groups are, whether LinkedIn's going to push groups back out as a big new part of it, or whether they're just going to keep them in the background and really focus on this being a professional platform with Sales Navigator, the big sales product, being the tool they use for pumping out dollars for B2B salespeople. All right, number 7, cryptocurrency is going to probably move from being an asset, a hold and wait asset, into probably exchangeable currency in 2018. So today we can use things like Coinbase and other tools where we have these cryptocurrency wallets. So cryptocurrency, by the way, is a technology built on top of blockchain technology. And so I don't have time to get into that, but you can Google all this and learn. If you want to check out a TED Talk that Don Tapscott does, and he talks about blockchain technology. If you just Google that TED Talk by Don Tapscott about blockchain, he will explain to you what blockchain is, and you'll be good to go. But Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency is certainly a risk. So one, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not your financial advisor. All of those things, so all bets are off in terms of risk, because it's a huge risk, but potentially this becomes a huge marketing opportunity for small businesses, because if small businesses embrace cryptocurrencies, then now you have a wide variety of people who will become brand advocates for your supporting that. And Amazon has created their own cryptocurrency, and they're streaming that out with Amazon Coin. So it's not just these independent platforms like Bitcoin and Ethereum and so forth that are coming out there with their cryptocurrencies, but major companies are going to start creating their own, and we'll see what kind of happens in 2018. But right now it's been let's hoard all the Bitcoin we can because it keeps growing in value. We've hit $10,000, $12,000 translation to Bitcoin, and we'll see in 2018 how that really changes as Bitcoin becomes something of a like gold, where you hold gold, you own that precious asset, to being something that we exchange on a daily basis. And I think that the more businesses that are capable of taking a wide variety of payment choices is going to be helpful to those businesses. So pay attention to Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin's not the only cryptocurrency. Okay, number 8, and my final prediction before I give a little bit of a conclusion, which is audio is going to play a large role in content consumption in 2018. And there's a very good reason for that, right? Today we have mobile devices in every pocket. We have the ability to stream content in our cars. We have the ability to stream content now in our homes with Google Home and Amazon Alexa devices, as well as the forthcoming Apple HomePods. We have the ability to access audio bidirectionally. I can give voice command. I don't even need to touch my phone or a computer in order to gain access to audio, but now I have access to audio across a wide variety of networks, whether that be accessing CNN through TuneIn or accessing podcasts through the Apple ecosystem or through Google Play Music and other places. I can now, Pandora and otherwise, I can now access all of that just by asking for it by voice. So there's a huge opportunity here, small business owners, to figure out how to get in on this market. And the ways in which I think it's really important, aside from what's called the answer box, and you can Google this for those of you who want to get more search traffic from the answer box. I don't know if the answer box is really the answer for small business, though. I think the podcast is, and I'm betting my money that the more small business owners that launch local podcasts, that advertise on local podcasts, and who become guest experts and interviewees on local podcasts, the more power and the more marketing oomph that will be brought to you. So I know I've been on this soapbox for several years, and I'm saying that you really do need to think about how you're going to invest in the marketing strategy of getting on podcasts, producing your own podcasts to drive traffic. Okay, so think of it as a podcast as a blog post with audio attached to it, right? The more you create, the more people hear you, and the more you can drive people to your website by using that blog post with audio attached. It's not easy, but advertising on podcasts are easier. You just need money. Being a guest on a podcast requires some work and preparation, but is easier. So start from that perspective. Be a guest on a podcast, then maybe think about advertising on a podcast, then maybe think about starting a podcast. But you need to be in and on that platform, because that's the way in which people are going to be able to access you by voice without the even the need to put their fingers to a screen or a keyboard. Okay, so very, very powerful stuff coming up in 2018 there. So my conclusion for all of you is that if you do not have a website and or a mobile website or app, get that infrastructure in place. And that doesn't mean just slapping up a website, going to Google My Business and creating their website and thinking that you're done. You need to think through what the sales process is and what the marketing process is and how you're branding that across your website, mobile application, mobile website, your social marketing channels, and so on and so forth, so that when somebody comes there, how are you going to convert them from just a visitor to a potential customer to a real customer, okay? That sales process needs to be thought out, and I think a lot of small businesses don't do that. And then finally, you can think about how you're going to create content for generating more search traffic to those places, whether that be your website, mobile website, or your app, okay? So content is really the last part of figuring out the sales and marketing infrastructure, cross-branding, and then content. So those are my predictions for 2018, and I hope that was useful to everybody. I'm happy to take Q&A if there are any questions, Tracy, and I'll put my slide up for my email address so people can go ahead and reach out to me if they need to, and if we need to close out, we can.
Okay, I'm going to close out, and then we do have one question. Thank you for participating today. Today's webinar was recorded and it'll be posted on the Virginia SBDC website under live webinars and recordings. So those of you that have to take off, we'll see you in January. We'll be posting next year's schedule early in the year. So we do have one question, and that's, how will net neutrality affect the use of the web?
Well, I can't say because I don't know what Secretary Ajit Pai is going to do regarding the net neutrality rules that were promulgated under the Obama administration. We will certainly have to sit and wait to see what will happen based on what rules will be removed, whether they'll have an open comment period as the prior administration had, or whether they're just going to cancel all of the rules en masse. We really just don't know, and we don't know whether it's going to come to pass. But if it does come to pass, we do know that it will affect small businesses. So that's the best answer I can give you, kind of flying blind on this. And so it would be helpful for the administration, the current administration, to let us know what they foresee, the deregulation process to look like, what the time frame will be for that, and how small businesses should respond to the fact that it potentially will increase cost for us to have a website being seen by other, being seen on the greater web. So I think it'll be helpful for the current administration to express how they foresee small businesses responding, so that we can have a good plan in place. But as far as I can say right now is we don't know, and we have to kind of sit and wait. And there's not much you can do, even if the regulations do change, right? It's literally up to the powers that be of major telecommunications companies to choose how they plan to implement the deregulation process.
Great. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everyone, for participating today. We'll see you in 2018.